Hello everyone, I'm DeAngelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your video review of Lost Odyssey by Mistwalker. The Xbox 360 is a pretty popular system in North America and Europe, but it didn't take too well in the Japanese market. We're two completely different demographics, and Microsoft wanted to take advantage of that overseas market. With that in mind, Microsoft began financially backing Mistwalker, which is headed by Hironobu Sakaguchi, the famed creator of Final Fantasy. For Microsoft, it seemed like there could be no better choice to help bring in Japanese consumers. Lost Odyssey is the third game from the studio, and it aims to appeal not only to Japan, but to the whole world. One thing that Lost Odyssey boasts is an epic story, with tons of backstory. Some of the characters within the game are immortal, living for thousands of years. As such, it's almost assumed that there are plenty of stories to tell. However, because of the bulk of the story, sometimes it feels like the gameplay gets overlooked. It almost seems like the game doesn't really start until a good 2 hours after the opening scenes. After a huge battle scene in the beginning of the game, pitting two massive armies and their gargantuan weapons against each other, Kaim Organar takes the field and proves to be the greatest weapon of all. Right after displaying his incredible skills, however, a meteor strikes the field, and Kaim looks to be utterly destroyed. The next scene shows him walking around as if nothing happened. That's because Kaim is an immortal. The narrative that follows shows Kaim exploring the events that unfold into a massive political conspiracy, where friends become enemies, enemies become allies, and emotions are pressed to full tilt. If you were to judge the game based on its story alone, this game would be nearly perfect. There are a ton of characters as well, all written just as well as the story. Sometimes, however, it almost seems like the game is trying too hard to impress the player, with dialogue that straddles the line between badass and whiny, or, in some cases, the line between witty and annoying. The gameplay of the title is eerily reminiscent of some of the oldest games from RPG history. It's very turn-based, which seems mundane considering how far we've come. But wait, there's a twist. A couple of twists, actually. First, a couple of your characters don't die during fights. Sure, the immortals get knocked out, but after a few turns they're ready to go again, while their mortal counterparts are down for the count unless they can be revived by an ally. If everyone is down at the same time, it's game over. In addition to their willingness to rise back to the call of battle, immortals serve another gameplay function. They don't learn skills by leveling, but rather by linking to the mortal allies, earning abilities that they have already unlocked. Everyone makes use of the last big shakeup. There's a time-based system that affects how much and what kind of damage you do during combat. A giant ring sinks down into a smaller ring, and if you time it correctly, you end up doing a good deal of bonus damage, and can assault the enemies with status effects as well. While the skeleton of Lost Odyssey is traditional at best, the meat on the bones of the game help to flesh it out a great deal. RPGs are never really known for how great they look. Because of the length of the games, it's usually very difficult to make sure everything is up to par. However, Lost Odyssey dismisses this notion entirely. The game looks great, whether you're looking at FMV cutscenes or regular gameplay footage, both in combat and out. You won't be disappointed. However, you may find some ire towards the style of the graphics. The characters and locales have a decidedly steampunkish feel to them, which wouldn't be entirely bad even for those who aren't really into steampunk, except for how ridiculously apparent it is. Sometimes it feels like just a little too much of it is getting pushed in front of you. Besides this, the only thing to really complain about is the sometimes testy camera. The music is another mainstay of epic RPGs, and Lost Odyssey does not disappoint. The dialogue and voice acting is another thing that the game excels at. Everything is handled wonderfully, with the exception of some exceptionally corny one-liners from time to time.
Of course, I expect to see you take a tumble into the canyon before we see any rocks doing it.
Generally, after I talk about the presentation of a game, I talk a little bit about the replayability of the game. However, because Lost Odyssey is a massively epic game that can take anywhere from 35 to 90 hours to complete, it'd probably be more prudent just to say that there is so much to do in this game, you'll definitely be getting your money's worth. From the immense backstory to all the side quests, you'll have your hands more than full. Lost Odyssey is an RPG that marries tons of different concepts. Sometimes it does it successfully, with such things as the combat mechanics, marrying traditional substance with new style. And other times it falls just a little by the wayside, since it relies too heavily on the story to really push you fully into the gameplay. Regardless, if you have the time to sit down and enjoy a good RPG, you'd be foolish not to give Lost Odyssey a chance. That's Entertainment awards Lost Odyssey a score of 8.5 out of 10.